The power of the extra link. Hey everyone, Templar74 here with another Yu-Gi-Oh video, and today's Yu-Gi-Oh video is going to be my thoughts and impressions regarding episode 45 of Yu-Gi-Oh VRAINS. And I'll be honest with you guys, this episode was so crazy complicated, and it was just one of those episodes where you were sitting at the edge of your seat with your hand over your mouth the whole time going, oh no, oh no, oh no. And I think this episode also proved once and for all that Revolver is a mad genius. But anyway, before I go on about all that too much longer, let's talk about the actual episode. So the episode starts off with Playmaker versus Revolver, a brief recap of their duel before Revolver vows to totally crush and destroy Playmaker because his turn is far from over, and we see Revolver begin the most insanely OP continuous link summon we've ever seen so far in Yu-Gi-Oh VRAINS. Revolver starts by tributing Transcode Talker to bring back Mini Boral Dragon via its effect. Now, of course, with Transcode Talker gone, Topologic Bomber's attack drops back to 3,000, but Revolver then uses Link Turret's effect, which allows him to use a counter in order to special summon a Magna Rocket monster. And the first time he does this, he uses two of the counters to bring back Shell Rocket and Magna Rocket, and along with Mini Boral Dragon, uses them to link summon Link 4 Beauregard Dragon. Revolver then uses Beauregard Dragon's effect by tributing Mirror Force Launcher. He's able to bring back Power Code Talker and releases it to bring back Mini Boral Dragon before releasing two more rocket counters from Link Turret to summon Magna Rocket and Shell Rocket, and then uses these three to link summon Boral Sword Dragon. At this point, Revolver now has 4 Link 4 monsters with 3,000 attack points each, which is to the amazement, shock, and horror of everyone as they all wonder how Playmaker will survive. And it's at this point Revolver reminds Playmaker that this wouldn't be possible if he hadn't negated Topologic Bomber Dragon's effect. Before activating Beauregard Dragon's effect by tributing Mirror Force on his field, Revolver is able to bring back X-Code Talker, and at this point Ignis and Playmaker realize if Revolver got rid of his ace card Mirror Force, he must have a new ace card, as they come to realize that new ace card is Link Turret, as Revolver uses it to release a rocket counter to special summon Enethy Rocket, and uses it and X-Code Talker to link summon for the 5th time this turn. But before this monster appears, Revolver explains that although normally a player can only use one of the 2 extra monster zones, when the 2 extra monster zones are mutually linked, a player is able to link summon a monster into the 2nd extra monster zone, as Revolver's Link 4 Topologic Gumbler Dragon appears within it as an extra link. So now Revolver has 5 Link 4 monsters, all of them have 3,000 attack points, as Revolver uses Topologic Gumbler Dragon's effect, which causes Playmaker's entire hand to be destroyed as well as take 3,000 points of damage. And for the first time ever, it appears Playmaker has totally been obliterated. But when the smoke clears, Playmaker still has 50 points left, which is possible because he activated a trap, Drop Flame Wedge, which allowed him to discard 2 cards to half the damage, much to the amazement and irritation of Revolver. But then Playmaker explains as long as Drop Flame Wedge is face up on the field, neither player can attack for 2 turns, and if Revolver tries to negate this effect, he loses every monster on his field. It's then Revolver who asks Playmaker if it was his words that saved him, before giving him 3 reasons to give in and accept defeat, before ultimately ending his turn with a special summon of Magna Rocket and the destruction of Link Turret. It's now Playmaker's turn at this point, but at this point he's struggling to even stand, as I begins to beg him to stand up so he can go home, as Playmaker asks I to tell him about the Cyverse world. And for the first time, we get to see the utopia known as Cyverse world in the anime, as I assures Playmaker that they don't want to destroy the world despite what Revolver thinks, and that the Ignis just want peace, as he encourages him to please stand as he has friends to protect too, as Playmaker ultimately gets back up to his feet. But Revolver is quick to remind Playmaker if he keeps a card in his hand, he takes 3,000 points of damage. So Playmaker sets a card and ends his turn, as Revolver uses Boral Dragon and Auto Rocket's effect to destroy Playmaker's face down, before using Auto Rocket's effect to special summon Enethy Rocket, and ends his turn. But as Eye turns back to Playmaker, he's amazed that Playmaker is laughing as Playmaker tells Eye that's all he can do, but he's not giving up, as he activates Marker Charge to draw 2 cards and shows them to Revolver. But before he does so, we see some irony as we see Eye pray for good cards, an irony that Playmaker calls him out on, because when he first met Eye back in episode 1, Eye assured Playmaker that AIs don't pray. But Eye ignores it as Playmaker draws and reveals his card, Disconnect Linker, and Transaction Rollback before playing Disconnect Linker to revive Restoration Point Guard and uses it to link summon Security Gardna and activates Disconnect Linker's effect to prevent its destruction and prevents extra monsters from attacking and sets Transaction Rollback before ending his turn and dropping Drop Flame Wedge, allowing Revolver to begin his onslaught, even calling Revolver out to do so by Playmaker as he tells Revolver to bring it on. And that's where the episode ends. So yeah, this episode was just crazy as far as the actual gameplay goes for the card game. And I know card play, or the people that play the card game rather, will really appreciate this episode just because of how crazy complicated this was and how much of a feat this was to pull off. Because if you think about it, 5 link 4 monsters, that means at minimum Revolver had to use 16 monsters at least to get these monsters out on the field. And the fact that he was able to do this within 2 turns, that's respectable. As somebody that plays the card game, I got to admit, that is totally respectable. But Revolver is just crazy, in my opinion, I think, for trying this, because this is just so insanely OP. Could have probably just used 1 or 2 3,000 point dragons and ended it just as well. But no, instead he goes out to do this continuously long link summon, and he's got to be applauded for that. But anyway, everybody, with that point aside, that was the episode. Like I said, crazy complicated, crazy good, left me on the edge of my seat the entire time. As an episode goes, I give this an 8.5 out of 10. This was really a great episode within episode 45, and really anxious to see what they do in the next episode. But anyway, as always, Templar74 signing off. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll talk to you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.